Almost 2 years ago, I recorded a video about Charli XCX's now infamous scrapped third album, XCX World. 2 years later, in 2022, I'm covering Kim Petras' Problematique, her debut album that has been completely scrapped by Republic Records. Kim Petras burst onto the pop scene back in 2017 with her debut single, I Don't Want It At All. This acclaimed debut single really didn't make a splash charts-wise, but it kicked off a very interesting career that has been filled with controversy and calamity. Kim Petras, no matter how you feel about her, has gone from an unsigned indie pop wunderkind, dropping music whenever she pleased, to being a major label artist who has just now exited what she has called pop star jail.
I'm out of pop star jail!
Just 5 years post her debut, Kim is in a really weird space. Just recently, Unholy, a collaboration between her and Sam Smith, a fellow queer pop artist, debuted in the top 3 of the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on Billboard's global charts, her first proper entry on both of these charts. I just want to point out that Dr. Luke has no credits on the smash hit, just food for thought, as I've always believed that her association with Dr. Luke has hurt her career and dropping him would probably be her best move. Even funnier is that not even a month ago, we learned that an entire debut album that she recorded was scrapped after being leaked online. I've covered Kim Petras' full-length projects from her outstanding Era 1 collection of drops to her seminal Halloween pop classic project Turn Off the Light, to what was once considered her debut album Clarity. You can watch all of my videos on them if you want more context, but now I'm just gonna really cover Problematique, what would have been considered her debut album and her first album under a major label. Like my Charli XCX World video, I'm going to split this into different sections. I'm gonna talk about what led up to the record itself, when it leaked, and what happened afterwards before touching on some of the tracks, and speculating on how this album would have actually done had it been released. Let's talk about lead up. We need to really go back to 2019 to build the context for Kim and how she got to where she is right now. 2019 was a hallmark year for Kim. She was on fire that year. The amount of music that she dropped was insane. The beginning of the year saw her close out Era 1 with 123 Days Up, a collaboration with the late and great Sophie, Homework with Little Aaron, and a personal favorite of mine, If You Think of Me, one of the oldest tracks that she's ever written and likely the origin of her now iconic woo-ah phrase. In May and June, Kim released a song a week to lead up to the release of Clarity, what was once considered her debut project but is now just a project. Clarity was critically acclaimed and even made the New York Times Best Albums of 2019 list at number 4. She'd go on to tour the record and release Volume 2 to Turn Off the Light. She was exiting that year with real momentum. The fact that she did all of that as an indie artist, not associated or signed to a label, was a feat in its own right. However, 2020 and the pandemic essentially all but killed that energy. Kim was actually set to tour alongside then-relevant pop princess Camila Cabello in Europe, which would have been a big help in getting her name out there and fostering industry connections that she needed. I remember in May of that year, she released the tragically underrated scrap first lead single to what would eventually become Problematique, Malibu. Malibu was a welcome return to her nostalgic Era 1 bubbly pop sound after her brief detour into more trap, synth pop during the Clarity era. Unfortunately, we were all stuck at home when this summer bop that was made for beach parties and just living life in general came out. She did get to perform it on Jimmy Kimmel and it did chart in the UK, but it did not make any splash in the US. Later that month, she would release a collaboration with Kygo, Broken Glass, yet another song that just didn't click. She'd also release Party Till I Die at the end of 2020 as a bonus track for Turn Off the Light, as well as Villain with Madison Beer, a collaboration with League of Legends girl group KDA. If you thought 2020 was just not your year, it was not Kim's year either, and the goodwill of 2019 started to fade really quickly. 2021 proved to be the year that she started to get back her mojo. Like many of her peers, she leveraged TikTok and its almighty algorithm and hopped on a few remixes of hits, or rather hit sounds like Studio Killer's Jenny and Sugar Crash. But she made huge moves in August when she signed to Republic Records, home to the heavyweights like Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, and The Weeknd. Super big deal, and at the time it seemed like she was about to kill it. Let's talk about the rollout. Future Starts Now served as the first single for Problematique and her first drop with Republic Records. While fans loved it and it was performed at the VMAs, it didn't have any impact. Between its length at 4 minutes and 39 seconds, the way it was released, and the general public's taste at the time, it made sense why it didn't do so hot. Kim would go on to tease 2 more tracks off Problematique, Hit It From The Back, and Coconuts at the EMAs that year. Coconuts quickly became a favorite, finding love on TikTok. Republic and her team worked really hard to build her presence by having her perform at the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, which honestly was really impressive, but due to fan demand, Coconuts was released ahead of schedule in December. It failed to chart, let's be real. I want to talk about Coconuts and more or less why it was sort of the beginning of the end of the record. Warning, everything from this moment onward is speculation. I do not claim to know the full story. I am making conjectures of statements, leaks, and the facts that we know. The beginning of the end. Coconuts was a cute track. It's catchy, it's playful, the general public liked it a lot. However, how it was rolled out and what Republic got out of it doomed Problematique. Sonically, if you've already listened to the leaked album, it does not gel or fit with the overall sound of the record, which may indicate that it was a track that came later in the process of recording, or it was engineered fit the modern trends of short, streamable TikTok songs. A leak from Aaron Joseph, Kim's then go-to producer and songwriter, confirms my suspicions. He posted what was supposed to be the track listing for the record. Some speculate that this version of the album was made shortly prior to her signing to Republic Records, so she came to Republic with this album in mind. Regardless, Coconuts became the song that the general public would associate best with Petras, and likely the guiding star for Republic's team when it came to getting Kim's name out there. I honestly think that Coconuts had a big hand in why her next release after this was a slip in quality and basically ended up killing her projects. We need to talk about Slut Pop. Slut Pop came out in February 2022. Kim had dropped it. It was her first EP, her first full-length project with Republic Records. Ahead of festival appearances at Coachella in April, Slut Pop was received relatively poorly for a Kim project. A lot of people started to actually use it as an opportunity to reopen a dialogue about her connections to Dr. Luke, which led to widespread backlash across Twitter. Something that I've time and time again have said would sink Kim before she even began. This particular wave of backlash was amplified by a poorly stated lyric about Lady Gaga and Throat Coat. Personally, for me, Slut Pop was just a big miss all around. While some of the choruses are earworms, the production felt really cheap and poorly done for what Kim was known for. There was a lack of bridges, and the verses were honestly kind of weak. It honestly felt like a really slapdash put together album, so she'd have something to perform since Problematique was clearly on back burner. It did not chart. It did not have any positive impact on Kim's career. If anything, I think it actually put her in pop star jail. It was also a really bad sign for Problematique as a record that she only got to perform 5 of those tracks at her Coachella set, which was cut off from the live stream early on YouTube's broadcast. So she lost the ability to market tracks off Problematique and kind of disappeared after that, with performances at Pride festivals, but no real word of the album until late July when a fan posted RIP Problematique 2020 to 2022, and she responded with a rose. And suddenly, the leak started happening. Okay, it's time to talk about the leak. In early August, almost 5 years to the day that XEX World had leaked on Lana boards, hell broke loose. Just about every track from Problematique had leaked in its mastered form, and Kim ended up having to address the leaks herself on Twitter and in an interview. I'll play a clip here.
Go listen to my leaked and scrapped album. I wrote it for you guys. It just leaked. It's totally okay. Listen to it. The songs are never coming out. I want you guys to listen to it and give me your opinions. So go listen to that shit.
Information about the record, including a leaked track list, was dropped by Kim's former go-to producer who worked on Problematique, Aaron Joseph, who I mentioned earlier. And we need to talk about the aftermath. With Problematique scrapped, Kim is allegedly working on another album that I do actually hope becomes her proper debut album under Republic Records. With Unholy charting so high, she's announced another track, If Jesus Was a Rock Star, which she teased. I think she actually even teased it with her getting out of pop star jail TikTok in September. According to rumors and the Genius page for the song, it is set to be produced by iconic pop producers Ilya and Max Martin, a huge grab. Likewise, the shift from slut pop sound to a more mid-tempo guitar-driven rhythm indicates that she may have switched up her sound to fit today's pop landscape a little bit better. I can't wait to review that track and the album in a video maybe next year. I think spring 2023 is the ideal drop date for Kim Petras 1. Okay, now I'm going to briefly touch on how I personally felt about Problematique and why I think it actually got scrapped. Overall, the record is not some terrible thing that deserved to be shelved. I think based on how many tracks leaked, they really did give the album a fair try. It's a pretty cohesive and cute electro-pop record that infuses some of Era 1 sounds with a more Euro-pop beat. It's honestly a lot better than slut pop quality-wise, like really miles ahead, though some of the songs started to really blend together, and there's really just a few standouts on the record. Future Starts Now, while I liked it, should have never been the lead single. I think All She Wants featuring Paris Hilton should have been dropped, if not first at some point. I honestly think between the feature, the catchiness of the song, and the campiness, that it would have had TikTok sound potential, which is what Republic clearly is looking for these days. Which is unfortunate because that really is the metric that people use to build hits today. Unholy really debuted high because of the hype it had and the way that people were using its sound and teaser music. Hit It From the Back, which was honestly considered for single release at some point, and again probably would be a better track to release than Future Starts Now because it has a killer chorus and a personality. You know, like, I kind of felt bad that one didn't get dropped. My main issue with Problematique is that we really don't get a taste of who Kim Petras is as a person. I felt like her other works really did a good job of painting her as a dreamy pop girl with big aspirations and a big attitude and a love for Y2K era things. Turn Off the Light really painted her as a final girl who likes spooky season stuff. Clarity, you know, you get to see a sassier side to her and more genres, but Problematique doesn't really have anything more to say. It doesn't provide anything new. Each track is either about sex, high fashion, with one or two tracks about heartbreak. It's weirdly generic for a Kim project. Production-wise, it actually gets really monotonous despite being extremely coherent and competent, but again, it really feels like more of the same, with rare elements of innovation and playfulness throughout. Born Again, which is one of my personal standouts, I think really evokes Kylie Minogue's Can't Get You Out of My Head, and it has lots of fun with that, and it shows a fun side to Kim vocally that I didn't see before. Then again, you get other tracks like Revelations, which is a good track, but it feels like a retread of other songs that you hear on the record. The title track itself really illustrates the record's issue. It opens with someone asking if Kim is problematic, only for her to say she's problematique, and then she sings a whole track that dodges why people would even think of that. It's a cute song, but it's very cowardly. It lacks depth, accountability, soul. She could have really done better, and we've seen it. This record is a solid 6, maybe 6.5, but she's given us 9s and 10s before. Additionally, we also have to look from the business perspective and standpoint. I don't think that this is a worthy debut album, and I don't think it would have done well on the charts. Yes, the gays love it, but it does not have the mass appeal which a proper debut album needs to establish an artist and carve out a strong enough fan base to chart consistently and rake in that precious tour money. Republic may have actually saved Kim's career by scrapping this record because it's really only up from here. I think Unholy really opened floodgates for her that we have not seen before. Her older tracks are starting to be used in movies and TV shows, and it's kind of a happy ending, even if she did lose a project that she clearly cared about to the big old record label machine. We really also have to think about it from like the perspective of losing a battle and winning the war. Rest in peace, Problematique, but long live Kim Petras, hopefully. It's a bit of a hot take, but I do think, like with XEX World, things actually did work out for the best here, if not better in Kim's case. But, you know, I do think the best situation did happen, weirdly enough. And yeah, that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to fight me in the comment section. Share your thoughts about the situation. Like and subscribe if you're new and you learned something today, or not. A big shout out to my members. I love you guys so fucking much. And my subscribers, thank you for sticking with me. And here it is. Here's the big announcement. I will be doing weekly live streams, usually on a Friday, where I'll talk about hot topics, pop culture, new music, whatever you want me to listen to. My first show will be on Friday next week, where we'll be talking about how every pop star wants to have a Star is Born moment. I'll be ranking Carly Rae's discography ahead of her new album, I think the songs themselves, and more. So tune in or watch the VOD. I can't wait. I really am going to be on YouTube more and for real this time. So I'll see you guys.